Oh my goodness gracious, I'm so overly irritated right now. I'm so overly irritated right now. Hi, I'm Citrus and welcome to my slice of the internet. And before we start, if my voice sounds a little bit more rushed or aggressive than usual, I'm saying usual like I have more than 2 videos on my channel at the time of recording this. Anyway, if I sound like a little like I don't know, pushy or somehow with my voice, I'm just really irritated in my personal life right now. I got a lot going on. I don't even have a reason to be irritated at this exact moment. It's just like I'm just irritated. Like a lot of things happened at once and I'm irritated. The topic of the video isn't even anything to get irritated or passionate about. I just get irritated really. If you hear any background noises, that is my nephew because he decides to scream all the time, which is also not helping with my like irritation. And also the speed paint is going to look weird because it decided to be saved the long way, and that is also aggravating me a lot. So I'm gonna flip that, and it's gonna look weird. This entire video is just gonna be me being mad as fuck for literally no reason. So let me give y'all an update on my life since I haven't posted in like a month. I'm unemployed now. I have a treadmill in my room for some reason. I also have a vanity. I have a vanity in my room. I just took a nap. Anyway, today's video topics is on art supplies and why I think it's good to downgrade sometimes. Before I start this, I doubt anyone is gonna see it, so I don't really need to make a preface, but just in case this is the one video that gets traction, I just want to say that everyone's technique and everyone's process is different, but I just think it's a good exercise. It's a good exercise. You don't have to do it, but it could be cool, you know? This statement might seem a little like counterproductive or like even like kind of stupid to some extent, but it comes from a well-meaning ideology where, you know, when you are a beginner artist, like a lot of beginner artists, they either start out like they buy all of the fancy equipment from the jump, or they're like me and they're poor and they find a random pencil case that no one has touched in years and they use that. And when I was a beginner artist, as many beginner artists do, when I don't have all the fancy equipment, I will kind of blame like my shortfalls. I'm like, well, if I had these cool markers or if I had the fancy calligraphy pens, like I could do that too. But I had to learn how to kind of duplicate those effects to the best of my ability at the time, and that kind of helped build technique there, if that makes sense at all. And so, you know, as I got better with drawing and I naturally acquired more supplies, because I started out with like abandoned school supplies, but when I acquired like more art supplies, even if it wasn't like the most like amazing art supplies ever that was sponsored by my favorite YouTuber or whatever, it was still supplies that was meant for art, which is still a step up from using an abandoned pencil case that I found, which is not a joke. That is what I was using when I first started drawing. And this is not to shit on anybody who uses school supplies to draw. I still do. Like, I don't have like fancy pencils or anything. Like, my favorite thing to sketch with is like a Ninja Turtle pen that my friend's mom gave me, and also like basic school mechanical pencils. You'll find that out if you ever join my art lives on TikTok. Hey, hit me up on TikTok, y'all. Anyway, but yeah, I started out with like bad supplies and, you know, eventually built my way up as I learned and as my art progress and technique grew naturally. And ever so often I would hear like the saying like, you're like, the quality of your art isn't reflected by the quality of your tools. Like, good tools can make your art better and make it easier for you to draw, but at the end of the day, artists, like, if you have art in your soul, you will be able to create no matter what. And that kind of stuck with me. Like, at first I was kind of uppity about it. I was like, no, like, you definitely need like the supplies and it. But like, as I thought about it, I was like, well, when I started out drawing, you know, I was smudging pencil with my finger and using Sharpie pinpoint colored markers to try my very hardest to draw hair, you know. So I also feel like having to use these lesser tools to kind of mimic the effects of greater tools kind of helps you understand more about art in some way. Like, if you have to use a pencil to mimic a hairbrush, you have to understand what about that brush makes it look like hair. It's the same as kind of like drawing anything in the world, really. Like when I've had people ask me to teach them how to draw. I feel like that sounds really like braggy. But whenever people ask me for like art advice, and they're like for example, like, oh, how do I draw women? Like, how do I, like, I'm trying to draw women but they look masculine, and I tell them, and I ask them, I'm like, well, what makes a woman look different from a man to you? Like, what defines that? Like, what features, what shapes, what makes a woman look like a woman, and what makes a man look like a man? And I feel like when you have to use those lesser tools, you kind of have to think more about that. Like, oh, like, what type of strokes do they use for the pen to look like that? Like, where exactly does the line thickness waver when they use that pen that makes it so appealing? Like, you kind of have to figure out like what you like about it and why and how to achieve that effect. And so in that way, I feel like having less tools kind of helps you learn what it is that you like, and what it is, like, it helps you understand more fundamentally, because you have to understand what you're trying to mimic. This is also good in lieu of finding your art style, in my opinion. A lot of art styles, like digital, like art styles that start off digital, or people who started off with like buying expensive tools from the jump, usually their art styles do heavily depend on those like fancy tools, which isn't a bad thing. Like, it gives a unique look, but you can kind of tell like when people's art style is more about like the tools than the process. And people who are like stuck with like, oh, how do I find my art style? I would say like a good thing to do, like if you already have like a good polished, if you're like stuck in that, like, oh, like I just keep copying other people's art style, I want to find my own art style, I would say like take your time to find like a really crappy drawing app or really bad art supplies and just draw from your mind. Like, just imagine something, put it on paper, figure out what you like about what you drew, what you didn't like, and just keep doing that process, refining it. It's kind of like evolution. You start off with like the base animal, and then some traits get passed on because they're beneficiary, and some traits get left behind because they detriment the animal or they don't benefit it, so on and so forth. That's kind of how it is, and that's how I feel it is. Like, you have to start from the bottom of the bin to understand how to get up naturally. This isn't like a forced thing. Like, there are great art styles that focus heavily on like filters, overlays, things like that. But I can kind of tell when I see them. Like, I see a lot of like beginner artists who see professional artists who use like a lot of filters and overlays and things like that, and so they do it. But since they didn't do like those fundamental practices to build up, it's just like not very high skill level with overlays and cool effects over it, and it looks freaking awesome. I'll give them that. Like, it looks awesome, but like I kind of have an eye. I can kind of tell. Or like when I see the speed paint, I can tell, because like I'll see the sketch and then I'll see like all the colors in the line art, and then I'm like, this guy never used a pencil that was split in half before. I also personally kind of have experience with like purposely downgrading my art process, because if you cannot tell by the hideous speed paints that I have in my videos, I use a drawing app called Sketchbook. It's also sometimes referred to as Sketchbook Autodesk. If you've watched any like content about the app, or any content that's like, oh, ranking these drawing apps, you'll usually see that Sketchbook isn't really like ranked very high, because it's not a very good, like, popular or like used app. It's been around for a long time. It's the first app I ever used when I first attempted digital art, like way back when I was a beginner, like within like the first year or so of me starting drawing. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so cracked at this. I'm going to use a drawing app. I want to try digital art so I can take it up a notch. And I downloaded this app because I looked up drawing app on Google Play Store. Or was it like Apple Store? Yeah, it was on my grandma's iPad, so it was Apple. And it was the first thing that popped up, and I downloaded it. And I was like, wow, this looks nothing like the YouTube videos I'm seeing. So clearly this app sucks. And I was right, but I was also just really bad at drawing. So I didn't do digital art for a long time after that. I did make like a few drawings of YouTubers on there, but I don't have them saved because I don't have the iPad anymore, and also I didn't post them anywhere. But I did draw like fan art of, I think it was Diamazing and something else YT, but I made them into girls. Didn't have a reason to do that. It's because I was just better at drawing girls. Anyway, I drew that, but I just went back to traditional because I didn't like the feel of my finger on the iPad screen. That was horrible. Just a lot of friction and pain and suffering. And also, it just didn't look good. And I preferred the pencil because, I don't know. But, years later, I wanted to give digital art another try. So I downloaded every digital artist's baby girl Ibis Paint free. Downloaded that bad boy. Started drawing with my finger. That was when I was the most prevalent in drawing. Like, I was drawing online the most when I was doing it with my finger. I was still drawing traditionally too. I'd say like at that point I was like half traditional, half digital. But I was drawing Ibis Paint on my finger. I would color in like manga panels as well. Like, manga panel coloring was popular around this time. I think it was because it was like 2020. I would do that, and eventually I got an art tablet, and I got good enough at, like, I got pretty goated at Ibis Paint, I'd say. Not like extremely goated, like there's still a bunch of stuff I probably don't know about Ibis Paint, but I had brushes I used. Like, I had people like being like, oh my gosh, like, tutorials, can you give us a tutorial? Like, I was getting tutorials and stuff. I had a method, and I was just so used to it all, and the process just felt so copy and paste. And one day I got kind of nostalgic for like the sketchbook drawing app, because I saw it in a YouTube video, and I was like, I wonder what would happen if I went. And I tried to use that app, and I'm still so mad at myself for doing that now, because a lot of people told me that they liked it better when I was drawing on Ibis Paint. I will probably be putting up some of my old drawings from Ibis Paint up, so you can be the judge of that, and I'll probably add some from Sketchbook as well. But I went and I kind of forced myself to learn how to draw on Sketchbook Autodesk. It's also kind of a good way to avoid art ego death, because I promise you, when you can't use all of your cool filters and all that stuff, and it's just you and like these bare bone ass like banging a rock together to make fire tools, like, you really have to accept that you're not that guy. Like, after I started using Sketchbook Autodesk, I was like, oh, this got levels to it. Like, I actually started like practicing, like doing it like every like anatomy perspective, all that stuff, because it don't play. It do not play. Like, before I had Sketchbook Autodesk, one of my favorite things to use was I would like blur the corners of my canvases so that so like anything I didn't want to render, or like anything at the bottom of the screen that I didn't want to, I would just blur it out, right? You don't have that option on Sketchbook Autodesk. You have to thug it out. You have to find another shortcut. I would also like duplicate my sketch and then like blur the sketch under it, so it had like this cool like dreamy effect to it that kind of made it look like line art, but also not. You can't do that in Sketchbook Autodesk either. Like, everything in Sketchbook Autodesk, like, you have to build up the technical skill to make something look cool instead of like finding a shortcut. It is also really good for like painting. If you've been wanting to get into digital painting, I know like a lot of people like me, I don't like line art. I was never a fan of it. I've tried to do line art. I didn't just like skip the line art. Like, I had my own line art phase. Like, I had a line art brush and everything. It just wasn't my thing. And a lot of people are trying to figure out like how to digitally paint so they don't have to use line art. Or there are people who do line art and they're curious about digital painting. Sketchbook Autodesk is a good place for that, because it doesn't really have like line art brushes. I mean, it kind of does, but I use them for rendering. Like, all of the brushes there can be used for like anything in the world. If you want to get into painting, this is a good app for it, because it's so bare boned. Like, I can only describe it as like a caveman app. It's so like caveman that like you don't even want to try and do anything like you don't want to do anything that has to be precise. Like, you kind of just want to go for like a feeling or like just a vibe overall. Like, you don't want to really get into the nitty gritty. There definitely is ways to get into the nitty gritty. Like, I do add detail to my drawings, but I'm like, it's just good for painting. But yes, if you are a beginner artist and you feel like you are in an art slump, you can't find your art style, you might want to downgrade your tools or stick to whatever downgraded tools you have to kind of learn your way around the mess. If you are an intermediate artist and you're just looking for something new, something fresh, something that'll like liven things up, a good change, you might want to downgrade your tools because you might have gotten too used to having those good tools. And if you are a professional and you just want to have fun, or you just want like a practice of some kind, may like kind of like intermediate artists, like downgrade your tools. It doesn't have to be permanent. It doesn't have to be your new method. Unfortunately, my downgraded method became my new method, but it doesn't have to be that way for you. It's just a fun exercise. It can really help you build up like kind of like dexterity, I'd say. Like it just really helps you improve. Like it helps you see where you're lacking, what you're proficient at. It's just really good. It helps you know, like, if everything, like if all the privileges that you had today were to disappear, what would you be able to do without it? This is kind of like a good glimpse into that. Like, how much soul do you put into it? Because if you really are passionate about something, then I do think that you will be able to accomplish it, whether or not you have like good funding or whatever. I think that's about all I want to say in this video. It's already like 17 minutes of just audio alone, so it's probably gonna be like maybe a good 20 minutes when I'm done editing and adding in like extra stuff, because I like to edit all my stupid effects. But yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for stopping by. Thank you for not killing me for not posting. And yeah, Orange, glad you stopped by.